After seeing some video from Texas A&M's recent spring practice, I think the quarterbacks are healthier than we thought.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. We have some notes from Texas A&M's recent spring practice that I want to run through. And the first one, number one, is Texas A&M's quarterbacks look healthier than I thought. You know, when it comes to the quarterbacks, Jaylen Henderson, Marcel Reed, and Connor Weigman, we knew that Connor Weigman and Jaylen Henderson would be, still coming back from an injury when spring practice was here. Henderson, of course, broke the arm in the bowl game, and then Weigman hurt the ankle against Auburn in week 4. And looking at this, I wasn't expecting these two to look like this. I know that it was an upper body injury for Jaylen Henderson, but still, you have to put, when you're delivering a football, you use that arm. It's the same in baseball. You don't tuck it like you do when you're pitching, but that arm is part of the motion, not a huge part. So seeing Jaylen Henderson throw the football, that didn't seem to affect him one bit, which was great to see. I didn't think it was going to affect him, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't a problem, and it didn't seem to be a problem for Jaylen Henderson. He looked really crisp on the football. And then Connor Weigman, I'm telling you, I was expecting him to look a little ginger moving on that ankle. And when he was taking his dropbacks, he looked crisp. He did. He looked good. He looked strong delivering the football. He was able to get it to the sidelines. He was able to get it downfield. Connor Weigman looked healthy throwing the football. Now, is he healthy enough to be mobile? That is what Coach Yelko kind of said in his press conference. Hey, I don't know how much he's been able to do moving the ball with his legs. You got to remember, though, in the spring game, in scrimmages, whatever, he's going to have on a yellow vest or a yellow whatever why am I blanking on what they call those now? You know what I mean? A yellow little penny jersey, whatever, that says you can't hit me, as will all the quarterbacks. So you're not going to see any of these quarterbacks take a big hit in the spring game, in spring practice. They're not. So it's going to be a few more months until Connor Weigman's actually, taking a little bit of pressure. So how much do you see him run the football? Is he healthy enough there? I don't think it matters, because I still think he has a few months to get right before actual football is here. So I was really excited to see some video of Connor Weigman throwing the football. He looked really good, pushing off, landing. He didn't seem to be in any discomfort. It didn't seem like he was kind of, let's be careful with this. Let's not push off too hard on this. Let's not land too hard. He seemed pretty confident in his ankle and how it felt. And he looked crisp throwing the football. So if you haven't seen those videos, head over to X/Twitter. Carter Carrolls has a few videos. All the different beat writers have some different videos of Texas A&M's quarterbacks throwing the football, and everybody looks crisp throwing the ball. So that's exciting to me. I was expecting Henderson and Weigman, this was before, we got updates, but them to both be a little bit limited in spring. And maybe they're a little bit limited. They look healthy. They're getting these valuable reps with these wide receivers, especially knowing you have some transfers, you have some freshmen coming in, to where you got to build a little bit of rapport with those guys. And I think Texas A&M's quarterbacks are going to be able to do that when I wasn't fully sure that would be the case. So that was my number one takeaway from spring practice, was the quarterbacks look a lot healthier than I was expecting them to look at this current point. So that's positive, ladies and gentlemen. And then the next thing I got is Shanahan and FAU transfer. TJ Shanahan and then Dorian Hinton, the FAU transfer, are taking reps at center. Bryce Foster, of course, isn't partaking in spring practice. He's with the track and field team. I think he does the shot put, whatever it is. I've voiced that I don't love that. I grew up a two-sport athlete, played baseball and hockey, and then in high school football and baseball. And, it's a good thing, but it does, you have to miss football lifts to play baseball. You have to miss, there's different things that go into it. And your starting center, it's not a running back. It's not a wide receiver where I feel like it's pretty natural. The playbook. The starting center, you got to, he's a huge part of this offensive line. He is the quarterback of the offensive line. You're calling out, where's the buck? You're calling out these things. You have to get right snapping the football. We saw some snapping issues last year from Bryce Foster. So not seeing him at spring practice is a little bit frustrating. And, no disrespect to the track and field team. Good luck to them. Hopefully he competes well in his events. I'm not saying any of that. It's just center is a position I really would like for him to be in spring practice. That's kind of my thoughts here. I really wish he was out there. There's a few positions I wouldn't be as upset about, but center, I really wish he was out there. So Shanahan and the transfer Hinton have been taking some reps at center. And I think that's good. I think forcing some other guys to be out there, once again, injuries, these things happen. Having multiple guys that are getting relevant snaps at the center position, I think will have these folks ready in case Foster goes down with injury, whatever were to happen. So that makes me feel better that these two are getting some reps and figuring out playing center. So like that. Another sleeper, it sounds like reports are saying that Dalton Brooks looked really good out there. And he's a player, in the secondary, I would not be upset to see take a step in the right direction. What is his role going to look like? And not totally convinced there that it's going to be massive by any means, but, could he be kind of like I know Javon Thomas was a freshman last year, but, that kind of, random guy taking over in the secondary. He looks great. We weren't expecting that. Could you see Brooks out there? So that's a positive takeaway from spring practice. Another player, Bryce Anderson, I saw multiple different video clips of him. He just looks so crisp right now. He looks good moving. He looks good. There were some different drills where he was, anticipating tackles, and he just looks good. Tackling at times last year was a bit of an issue for the entire secondary, Bryce Anderson, so it included. So seeing him be able to tackle makes me feel. Now, they weren't wrapping up and tackling. It was just anticipating, you still got the hard part, which is wrapping up and bringing somebody down. But Bryce Anderson looked really good out there. He's moving good. I think he's in for a huge, huge season. And then the last thing I got here is we saw some video of Big Samu and then the transfer from Wisconsin, Rodas Johnson. And they were both, I saw two different videos of them running, doing the drill. They're both moving really well. For these massive, massive defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen that they are, they both were moving really well. And I think you could see these two have a valuable role for this team. Samu, I still think just with his size is going to be a player that can potentially be an NFL player. Just based on his size, strength, he could clog up the middle somewhere in the NFL at some point. So I'm excited to see what he does. I just think he's a guy that can be randomly as in we aren't expecting it, a super valuable part of this Texas A&M football team. So that is, of course, important. So to wrap it all up, you feel pretty good about those two guys. And then the quarterbacks, that's my biggest takeaway from spring practice has been these guys are healthy. And that's huge. I think they're getting reps that I wasn't fully anticipating, and that makes me feel a lot better heading into the spring game, heading into, the deeper part of the offseason, the summer, and then, of course, as we get ready for the season. So these quarterbacks are healthier than at least I thought, and you can see in video, and I think it's a positive thing when talking about the 2024 season. We're going to talk a little bit about, after seeing some different video from spring practice and hearing some things and hearing from some folks, what do we think Texas A&M might do in the next portal window? We'll have that conversation coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV. Fire TV is also introducing Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. So I want to talk a little bit about the transfer portal. And in my opinion, the reason I want to talk about it is because it's coming up. You know, this window will open up here soon. And I don't think Texas A&M is going to use it as much as I once thought. So I'm starting to feel better about Texas A&M's offensive line. With some things I've heard, some things folks have written, some videos I've seen. I think this group is deeper than I imagined. Now, I'm going to add this caveat. Perhaps I feel like this portal window is the one where folks that are a little bit buried on the depth chart hit the road. You're going to see a couple players transfer out. Now, this is the part of the portal window where I don't think you're going to lose anybody that affects this season, but what it will do is open up more scholarships to go and potentially add at a position where you go, I feel good about our 4 guys here at linebacker, or I feel good about 8 guys at offensive line, but we need one more guy. We need the guy right here. It gives you that opportunity. So you're going to have some players leave. Perhaps it's some of those linebackers, the older ones who have been around, those 2 that haven't really seen much run, and then you got the great freshmen coming in. Could be that. So could it be a guy, one of the tight ends that's kind of a little bit big? You're going to see a player that is buried in the depth chart kind of hit. You'll see that happen. I'm not saying it's going to be 20 guys. I'm saying it'd be like 2 or 3 probably. And then it gives you a couple opportunities, 2 or 3, I'd say it's tops 5, more than likely 2 or 3, a few players. And it gives you an opportunity to go and add final depth pieces. More than likely, I think the staff feels pretty good about who they're going to launch out there as the guys on this team. But you still have to have depth. We talk about injuries happen all the time. We see injuries all the time. They're going to happen. You have to have depth. And looking at this, you got to feel pretty good about where Texas A&M stands heading into this portal window. I think that I was expecting them to have to go do more in the portal. I thought you were going to see another offensive lineman or 2. I thought you were going to see a couple of these transfer secondary players kind of not be as good as we anticipated. Maybe you got to get one more player in the transfer corner or safety in the portal. I thought maybe, hey, do we need another receiver? Some positions like that. Those were the positions I was anticipating. Maybe a receiver, maybe offensive line, maybe the secondary. But I think that this staff feels pretty good with where they're at those positions. So I don't know how much, if at all, Texas A&M is going to use the portal. Now, I do think, once again, a couple guys leave, you're going to want to go get just a couple guys to fill scholarships. Some of those guys, I think some of those players like the former top 300 recruit who spent 2 seasons at a school, was kind of buried, and hey, we'll take a shot on this kid who was highly touted out of high school, never really got it going in college. We'll take a shot on him and see, hey, maybe can we turn his career around? I think that is kind of the player that you go get here. I don't think you're going to get anybody in the portal right now that you're anticipating being a starter for your football team. I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to get players that you think help when it comes to depth. That's what Texas A&M is going to go get. So that's how I think they use the portal. And another interesting thing about this is I don't think we're going to learn a ton from the spring game. And let me explain what I mean by that. We're not going to learn when it comes to who might leave. A lot of times, okay, you got the ones and versus twos, and then on offense, and then the twos versus ones on defense for, you know what I mean? And then you got, the threes go on, and then the player that are kind of in that back half of threes, you go, oh man, we got a junior former 4-star going with the threes right now. He's not going to want to be here anymore. He's probably going to hit the portal. So that is, most teams' format for a spring football game. And it sounds like that won't be the case for Texas A&M, knowing they're going to do a draft, which I do love. I love that. But it does make 2 things more difficult. It makes projecting who do they think are going to be the starters. Normally, hey, there's a starting offensive line, the starting receiver is starting. It's going to make that more difficult to pick up on. And then it'll also make it more difficult to see, this player that we expected to be in the 2 deeps, kind of in the 3 deep, he might hit the portal because, we don't know who did the draft, messed any of that up. So I think that the way they're handling the spring game is going to affect this conversation because it's going to make it hard for us to know which guys they're going to go get or which guys could leave in the portal and which positions might need some more depth added via the transfer portal. So that's kind of my take on this. I'm interested to see that. So I do want y'all to let me know in the YouTube comments, is there a position that you would want to see Texas A&M go add a player or 2 via the portal? Offensive line, receiver, secondary. Is there any positions that you would want Texas A&M to add a player that would make you feel just a little bit better about the depth there? So let me know that in the YouTube comments. One note that I wanted to mention real quick. I thought that I should have mentioned last segment, but I wanted to add it. The running backs. I was really impressed with the video I saw of the running backs yesterday. Ruben Owens looked really good catching the football. He looked really quick. I don't know. He just almost looked a step faster. And I don't know if that's a reality, if that's just something I'm seeing, but Ruben Owens looked really good. I was really happy with this running back room. And I think you're going to see this group take a step this year. I really feel good about Moss and Owens. And then the funny part about it is I think that the transfer, E.J. Smith and Amari Daniels are both incredible running backs that could start at a lot of really good football programs. So knowing that you've got 4 guys who I think are legitimate SEC weapons makes me feel a lot better about this roster and about this running back room heading into the season. So I was happy with that group. They looked really good. They looked quick. Their ability to catch the football, look good running it. I'm excited to see these guys running behind some, serious pads at some point when it comes to hitting and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see all these guys in the spring game. I think I think everybody's going to be really impressed with these running backs and how they look in the upcoming spring game. The Aggies got the win on the diamond over Texas State. We're going to talk about the 7-inning run rule victory coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. The sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel's making it even more exciting to get in on the action because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and so much more. FanDuel, there's a ton. MLB, it's been I've been, putting a couple. Every night I've been putting like $2 on a 5-leg MLB money line parlay. Hit it a couple times. I've been having a lot of success with the home teams in close, games with the money lines like -130, -110. I've had a lot of success with favored but barely favored home teams in close games. That's been doing well for me. So, hey, maybe that's something to go check out for you. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a big win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So the Aggies get the win over Texas State, 12-2, 7-inning game. Love that. Love, hey, save a couple arms for the weekend, whatever. Maybe, I always feel good about that. So it was a hit parade for the Aggies, and everybody got in on the action. Grahovac, 3 of 4, 2 RBIs. Montgomery, 2 of 4, 4 RBIs, a home run. Montgomery has homered in 4 straight baseball games for the Aggies, which is just, it's incredible. And we'll get back onto this game in a minute. Montgomery has been absolutely incredible. The way that he has swung the bat, I mean, he's got to be one of the best transfers right now in all of college baseball. There's nobody hitting better than him. Some players like Condon over at Georgia, Caglione over at Florida, some players like that more than likely will keep him out of being the SEC Player of the Year. But I just have a feeling the home run numbers that Montgomery's going to put up would generally be good for a potential run at SEC Player of the Year. He's a star. He's going to be an MLB player. He's going to have a huge season, and I think he's going to be a big reason why the Aggies truly can make it to Omaha, and when they get to Omaha, can win the whole darn thing. So I just wanted to give a shout-out to Montgomery because he's just a special, special ball player. Just when he transferred in, you knew you were getting a ball player, but I wasn't expecting to get what we've got. He's just been an absolute star. Appel was 2 for 4 in this game. Hayden Schott was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Targach was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. You got 13 total hits in this game, but it was funny. They were kind of spread out. A lot of people with 1, 2, 3 hits. Spread out like that to where it wasn't like, well, you had 3 guys go 4 for 4, and that was really the bulk of it. It was, you had a lot of guys get a lot of hits, which is great to see. So 13 total hits, 8 walks, and then you had 7 different Aggies get a base hit in this game, at least 1 hit in this game. I didn't count, but look right here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players with multiple hits. So, you had a lot of guys get multiple hits, a lot of guys get a single hit. This was just it was good to see the bats look like this. The Aggies hit the ball well against Auburn last weekend, and you're going to want them to continue hitting the ball well when they head to Columbia to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks this weekend. The staff, not a ton of strikeouts, which I'm not always upset about. 6 strikeouts. The way I look at it is, you made your defense work. And once again, you give up 2 runs. So it's not like, well, we only got 6 strikeouts and they put up a 7 spot on us or a 9 spot. It wasn't like that. They put up 2 runs. You were drawing contact. You let your infielders make plays for you. Your outfielders chase down some fly balls, and you got the win. So I was happy with this game from the pitching staff. One of those games where, they did what they needed to do. It was 6 free bases. I think it was 4 walks, 2 hit by pitches. So, not upset about that. In a game like this, when you're blowing out, whatever, it is what it is. Brock Peary, 1.2 innings, 1 2/3, 3 strikeouts, no free bases given up unless he hit a guy. He didn't walk anybody. I don't think anybody. But, what I was impressed with Peary was his ability to, hey, come in the ball game. Let's not let them score a run so we have to play an extra couple innings. Let's get out of here. Go home, get some sleep, and he was able to do that, come in and shut it down, get that game over in 7 innings, which was great to see. Luke Jackson, 2.1, 2 2 1/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, hit by pitch. Got the job done, did what he was asked of, got the job done. So I was happy with the staff in this game. Another midweek win. Once again, I continue to reiterate this. SEC teams are losing midweek games. This is happening. The Aggies have yet to lose a midweek game, which is huge. You don't want to drop a game to a not good opponent in the midweek. It hurts. Hosting, I don't think Texas A&M is going to have any kind of trouble hosting, but it hurts maybe being a top 8 seed where you host a super. This is why this stuff is important. So these games, they might not seem like they matter a ton, but they do, because if you lose them, they really could affect trajectory for hosting and different things like that in the postseason. So big win for Texas A&M to keep everything rolling on the baseball field. Big series coming up this weekend against South Carolina on the road. We will preview that on Friday. Or unless the first game's on Thursday, in which we'll preview it tomorrow. I'll have to check that out. That's been happening more than usual. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day today, and we will see you tomorrow.